Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Dinozor Gaming, where we learn to be a better player. It is finally here. It feels like Christmas in September. Reveal season for Secrets of Power has sort of started. We had the official stream today from FFG where they showed off the two spotlight decks of Padmé Amidala and Chancellor Palpatine, and they have graciously put up all of the cards from these two decks on their website, not only in this amazing post but also individually here. So we're going to take a look at all of them, and let's go ahead and do that. We have all been waiting since the Galactic Championships when they first teased this. Nobody wants to wait any longer. So the first one is going to be the Chancellor Shuttle Grim Harbinger. 2 cost, 1/3, restore 1. Not the best. However, when defeated, if you control Chancellor Palpatine as a leader or a unit, you may give an experience token to a unit. So if you factor in the experience here, this is a 2 cost 2/4, which is a very decent stat line. We have been seeing quite a bit of this on the ground, and this is one of the first space units that can do this. Of course, that extra +1/+1 doesn't go on him, but another unit. But it is definitely a good effect. If you're playing a Chancellor Palpatine deck, there's really not much reason not to play this. Overall, a very decent card in that deck, and more or less useless outside of it. What's very interesting here is that despite being in the Chancellor Palpatine deck and wanting it, it doesn't have plot, which is something that the FFG members mentioned was intentional, and I think it's a great call. Their reasoning being that they want these cards to work with every iteration of those leaders. So in this case, if it was a plot card, it would not work with Twilight of the Republic, Chancellor Palpatine that can't deploy. So this way, any kind of Palpatine you want that's already existing or coming up in the future, this card will work excellently in that deck. Next up, we have Newt Gunray, 3 cost, 3/4, very average stat lines, but grit, one of the strongest keywords. When played on attack, you may give another friendly unit Sentinel. Friendly official unit, rather. So if there are enough official units, this is a very strong effect. Giving temporary Sentinel, choosing where your opponent is allowed to attack or not is good. And on top of that, 3/4 grit is valuable, especially if you look at it through the lens of something like a Grand Inquisitor. This could be a turn 2 5/2. We already have Death Watch that is a 3/3 grit that sees some play in that deck. This is slightly better. And on top of that, if you give something Sentinel in that deck, you can prevent your opponent from attacking into this right away. I think this is overall a very good card, and I would be genuinely surprised if this doesn't see any play. Next up, we have Sly Moore, the first plot card we're looking at today. So before we check out the plot, let's check out what he does. 4 cost, 2/6, Republic official. We're going to have a lot of them. When played for this phase, each enemy unit gets -2, -0 while it's attacking a base. This is a fantastic blanket effect. This works so well both against early fast aggro, because you don't need to plot this out. You could play this on turn 3, let's say against a Sabine, and if they have 3 or 4 units attacking, you just saved your base 6 to 8 damage with a single card, and you developed your board at the same time. Overall, a fantastic card. I would be surprised if this doesn't see any play. I think this is going to be one of those cards that every single blue villainy deck plays at least a couple copies of. Even if you don't end up playing this on turn 3, you can just easily put it into your resources and plot this out when your leader comes out. Makes your leader turn more stronger as well. Essentially telling your opponent, you kind of have to attack into my units here because you're not doing much damage to the base. Next up, we have Cad Bane. We won't linger too much on this. We spoke about it already when they first revealed this about a month ago. Just quickly, we'll go over it. 5 cost, 4/5 Underworld. Great, decent stats. When played, defeat a unit with 2 or less remaining HP. The devastating gunship effect, essentially. Plus, it has plot. I don't see this guy seeing much play when you're not plotting him out. No one wants to drop this hard, but as a plot, it's pretty decent, especially with leaders that deploy on 5 and have some kind of damage ability. Like, for example, Kira. You deploy Kira, bring something that has 4 health down to 2, then Cad Bane will trigger and kill it right away. Great action compression. Decent card that will see great play in some decks and absolutely none in others. Next up, we have Dogmatic Shock Squad in what is apparently a series of cards that are plot plus single keyword. I believe there's going to be 1 in every color, if not more. For Vigilance, that seems to be a Sentinel. So we have a 6 cost, 4/6 Sentinel. Republic Clone Trooper, decent enough traits. Sentinel is pretty good, especially when you plot it out, but the stat line is pretty low. We've already seen other cards with this stat line being much cheaper. I'd say a 4/6 Sentinel is probably something closer to a 4 cost card, especially if you compare this to something like Chirrut. Having the option to plot it out is good, however, because having something that comes out at the same time as your leader to protect it is good. You can also very easily bring this out as a surprise sentinel to block off your opponent's aggression. I think this card will be dominating in sealed and limited. I mean, this isn't limited in general, sealed and draft, but not that fantastic in premium. Next up, we have Cantwell Arrestor Cruiser, 7 cost, blue villainy, 6/7, Imperial Vehicle Capital Ship. Some of the absolute best traits in the game. When played, you may disclose villainy and double vigilance, and if you do, exhaust an enemy unit. That unit can't ready while this unit is in play. This is no good to me dead on a body, but what's extremely interesting here is that it is in a vigilance card. You would normally expect this effect in a cunning card, so having access to a semi-permanent exhaust in blue is fantastic. It is a little bit expensive to be played consistently in premium, so I don't think a lot of the typical blue-black shells will be running this, but in some decks this will excel. That 7 cost is a nice bridge between some of your mid-game and your late-game threats like Avenger, especially in a deck like Piet. This can come out on the same turn that Piet is deployed and stall out your opponent significantly. It's pretty hard to get rid of a 6/7 in space. So I think this card is something definitely worth keeping an eye on. It will have a splash in the meta. Next up, we have Donnie Pilgrim. 1 cost, 1/3, fringe. When played, when defeated, heal 1 from your base. Decent effect. I don't see anybody getting super excited about this. It will probably see a fair bit of play in sealed and draft. I don't see this making a big enough splash in premium whatsoever. Yeah, you can buff it up with Ray if you absolutely wanted to, but there's better options. Armor of Fortune, +0/+3. Upgrade. We have already seen this kind of upgrade before in set 1 as a 1 cost. So we know that this is slightly overvalued at 2, but instead it has plot, which essentially is some form of card draw, if you want to consider it that way. I don't think it is a fantastic card simply because having to put a weak card like this in your deck itself is a limitation. But for some leaders that are fragile and really rely on their leaders, this could be an interesting card to have. For example, if you want to deploy your Obi-Wan leader from Twilight and that is already a Sentinel, give it an extra 3 health, it could take it out of range of a lot of the things that normally would kill it. And next up, we have the series of laws that are going to be in this set. Charged with murder. You may disclose double vigilance if you do defeat a damaged non-leader unit. This is very specific, very niche. If you're already damaging a unit, odds are you have a plan to kill it. Obviously, that's not always the case. And then against some decks, this is fantastic. For example, this is obviously going to work excellently against Han 2 that damages their own units, to a much lesser extent, Grand Inquisitor, Asajj Ventress, for example. But if you have an easy way to damage your opponent's non-leader units with, for example, the new Padmé Amidala, this is a very interesting card. The requirement of disclosing a double vigilance card is dangerous because you would need at least 2 blue other cards in your hand. So if your opponent has somehow managed to hurt your hand through discard effects or anything of the sort, this could backfire and be useless. I don't think this is a strong enough card just yet, but it is definitely something worth considering in a double vigilance deck, especially if there is a new double vigilance leader that can ping easily. Next up, we have Retaliation. Defeat a unit that dealt damage to a base this phase. It is missing a very interesting word that you see in a lot of these vigilance removals. This does not say non-leader. That's right, this can kill off a Kylo right away. It is a fantastic card. You will be taking the damage to the base. So for sure, it's not as great as Rival's Fall. Obviously, it costs 1 less, but I think this is an extremely powerful card, especially in limited where removal is key. I think this card, it will see a lot of play. Now we're going to move on to Command Green. So first up, Corrupt Pollution. We've already seen this. 1 cost, 2/2, Republic Official, green black. Decent stat line. 2/2 is essentially what you're expecting in a 1 cost. Works great if you have something to do with that extra 1 cost, especially if your leader costs 1, for example. So in Snoke, this is a 1 cost. This is a turn 1 3/3. The effect of how while you have more units than an opponent, this unit gets Sentinel is cute. It's decent. It's not amazing, but I wouldn't be surprised if this sees play just through raw stats. Following that up, we have Major Partagaz, healthcare provider, 2-cost, green-black, 0/6 Imperial official. Fantastic traits. Overwhelm. When another friendly official unit attacks, this unit gets +2/+2 for this phase. I'm very sadly going to have to say this card is borderline unplayable. I don't think this has any use whatsoever in premium, maybe in limited, but it is a rare, so you're not going to see it a lot in limited. Having to attack with other official units just to be able to do anything with this unit makes it very slow. If you play this on turn 1, the earliest you can attack with it is turn 3. And if you have enough officials where buffing this up is good and your opponent is not interacting with this, killing it for free, then you're not playing against a good enough opponent. I think this card is unfortunately not playable. Next up, we have Chancellor Palpatine, I am the Senate. Great theme on this one. Green-black once again. 3-cost 2/2 Republic official. When played, if you control a leader unit, create 2 spy tokens and give them Sentinel for this phase. And it has plot. So obviously, you needing to control a leader unit means that you don't want to be playing this outside of plot. Is this worth playing in plot? It's interesting. We did mention earlier when we were looking at Vigilance that having a Sentinel with your leader is good, so having 2 of them is obviously great, but they are 0/2s, so there are easy ways to get rid of them. That said, versus a lot of decks that don't have ways to interact with a wide board, and we've seen that right now wide boards are what is dominating the meta, so having a way to spew out so many units, like if you deploy your leader, let's pretend that this is the only card that you're plotting out. With a single action, you already put 4 units in play, 2 of which are Sentinels. I think it's a very decent card. I would be surprised if this doesn't see any play. Next up, we have the ISB Shuttle, 3-cost, 3/2 Imperial Vehicle Transport. When played, if a friendly unit was defeated this phase, create a spy token. Pretty decent if we're considering the spy token in its effect. This is essentially a 3-cost, 3/4 in space that has rate 2. I think it is decent. I think it will be fantastic in limited, but not really worth playing in premium. Next up, we have Padmé Amidala, another plot card, 4-cost 3/4. When played, give an experience token to each of up to 2 other official units. So it's essentially a 5/6. 5/6 in, for 4. Very decent stat line. You can plot this out, and if your leader is an official, you can buff it up. I think this is a fantastic card in general. It will definitely be played in decks that have leaders that are officials, that play a lot of officials. The best example obviously being Palpatine himself. If you bring out another official when you deploy your leader, for example, the Palpatine that we just spoke of, and then Padmé Amidala comes out, you're creating an almost insurmountable board. Next up, we have Vice Admiral Rampart on schedule, a 4-cost 3/6 Imperial official. Fantastic traits once again. On attack, you may disclose green-black. If you do, give an experience token to each of up to 2 other units. This does not need to be other official units or Imperial units. This is a phenomenal card. I think this is going to be played in almost every single mid-range green-black deck, and it would be silly not to. It is a little bit slow, unfortunately, only having an on-attack trigger, but the stat line itself is pretty decent. There's not much that can kill a 6 health unit on turn 3, so I think this is a excellent card that will see a lot of play. Next up, we have Dedra Miro, 6-cost green-black, 5/5 ambush. On attack, create a spy token. This is sort of like a mini Vader. 5/5 is an adequate stat line. On attack, creating a spy token is good. So this is essentially a 5/7 ambush for 6, and if they don't deal with it right away, you get to keep making spy tokens. I think this will be an absolute devastating bomb in limited, but will it be decent enough in premium? I highly doubt it. We already have a lot of other cards that do something similar in 8th Brother, Darth Vader, Maul. You don't want too many of the same things in a deck, especially if you're considering paying 6 costs for a 5/5 is not the best stat line either. I think this is going to remain a bit more of a draft and limited card. we have I Am the Senate. 6 cost, create 5 spy tokens. Spy tokens are 0-2s, so paying 6 for 0-12, so 0-10 worth of stats is not fantastic. If you have ways to cheat this out early, for example with Barriss Offee, if you're paying 5 for this, it could be somewhat decent. But I don't think it's good enough. It's somewhat okay in limited, but it is a S rarity card, so you're not going to be seeing it often enough in limited. I think it is a card that will, if you are able to get enough of a discount on this, if you're able to play this for 5, it's decent. If you're able to play this for 4, it's broken. So it kind of depends on what kind of discounts you have available for you. If you have to pay the full 6 cost for this, it is a garbage card. Next up, we're moving into the heroism finally in C3PO. We've seen this a long time ago. 1 cost, 1/3. Action, return this to its owner's hands. Give a unit +2/+2 for this phase. Not a good effect. You do not want to be bouncing your own units just for a temporary buff. We have seen a lot of cards that do this kind of temporary buff already, but having to play this, have it survive for a turn, and then bounce it to your hand is such an expensive cost for such a small buff. I would be very surprised if this has much competitive success. Next up, we have Mina Bonteri, Stop This War, 2 cost, 2/4, Separatist Official. Already phenomenal stat lines, Restore 1, and when defeated, you may disclose green, green, white if you do draw a card. I think this is so far the best card we've seen today. I think this will be in every single green heroism deck. There is no downside to this. It has incredible stat lines. It has a fantastic when defeated effect. And if they don't defeat it, it's restoring 1 every single turn. Love this card. 10 out of 10. Perfect. Next up, we have Ahsoka Tano. When this unit completes an attack and survives, you may disclose green-white. It is a very cheap disclose. A single card often enough will do it. If you do, attack with another unit. Decent enough stat lines for a 3 cost, able to do an action compression on attack. I think this is a great card. Normally you would love this effect in a deck like Sabine. However, this is not a rebel. So if you are making a non-rebel package of an aggro deck, I think this is an instant shoe-in. Fantastic card. I would be genuinely surprised if this does not see play. On top of that, it is a Force, it is a Jedi, it is Republic. That's 2 amazing traits and 1 that has quite the potential. I think this is a great card. Next up, we have Captain Typho, another one that we saw earlier on. It is a 4 cost, 4/5 Sentinel. Decent enough. When this unit is attacked, you may disclose at least a card, green-white. If you do, heal 1 damage from your base. Fantastic card. Another one that might not be an auto-include, but a lot, if not most, of green-white decks are going to be playing this. If you just play it as is, 4/5 Sentinel is decent enough to stop a lot of early aggression. On top of that, is able to heal your deck. And it works exceptionally well with Padmé, because when you're revealing that 1 card, you're not only healing your base for 1, but you're also dealing a damage to an opponent. Able to trigger that when it's your opponent's action, and that damage will happen before the attack happens. Just overall, great card. Next up, we have Naboo Royal Starship, fit for a queen. 4 cost, green-white, 2/5. Each friendly leader unit gets raid 2 and overwhelm with plot. Fantastic card. You will unlikely to play this to straight up for 4 from your hand, but when you are playing this through plot, it is great. Giving your leader overwhelm and raid 2 makes, if you're playing this in something like Padmé, which is meant to be played in, of course, Padmé having that raid 2 and overwhelm makes her a 5/8 on the turn she deploys, which is amazing. But just in general, imagine playing this in something that deploys much earlier. Unfortunately, you can imagine this in Sabine. If Sabine deploys and gets raid 2, now she is attacking your base for 5 and overwhelm. So if you have a tiny little chump blocking Sentinel, that no longer matters for her. I think this is a very scary card. It will see some play. Next up, we're looking at what I believe to be the strongest card they've revealed today, Mon Mothma. Insane card. 7 cost, 5/8. Restore 3 When played, you may attack with any number of other units one at a time, even if those units are exhausted. They cannot attack bases for this attack. That is an incredible effect and a game-swinging effect, if anything. We've already seen that 7-cost cards are some of the strongest cards in the game, and Green Command didn't have too many in that slot. A lot of the the green heroism cards are usually really strong at 8. We have Home 1, we have Yoda. We do have Kelram back at 7, but I think there is room definitely to have both of these. You likely wouldn't be playing it if you're playing green-blue because you already have Luke in that slot, but otherwise this is a great card because not only do they need to deal with this body, but anything that you have lingering on the board can now attack. If you're playing against a cunning deck that's been exhausting your stuff all the time, then who cares? Just bring it out and attack anyways. Definitely a scary card. It will see a ton of play. Next up, we have Dismantle the Conspiracy, an event for 6. Friendly unit captures any number of enemy non-leader units with a total of 7 or less remaining HP. It's Cad Bane on an event. Capturing multiple units in a single action is a strong effect, and especially if there's a lot of upgrades. But usually if there's upgrades, that remaining HP is going to be a lot higher. I think it's an okay card. It will be devastating in limited once again. But I would be genuinely surprised if this sees any premium play whatsoever. Jar Jar Binks, Misa Propose, another card that we have seen a while ago. So very quickly, 2 cost, 2/1. When played, you may give another friendly unit +2/+2 for this phase with Plot. I think paying 2 for a temporary buff on your leader's flip is extremely strong. Once again, using the most obscene example in Sabine, being able to flip Sabine up for a 4/7 on turn 3 is devastating, almost game-winning play. But even if you're not playing Sabine, let's say you're playing a leader that has Sentinel, like Obi-Wan or Chewbacca, being able to give it that extra +2/+2 for the turn is very, very good. I think this card will see a ton of play. Now we have Tailander Shuttle, a 3 cost, 2/4. On attack, if you have the initiative, create a spy token. Very boring effect. Not going to see a lot of play. Below average stat line. No great traits. Even the on attack requires the initiative. This is borderline unusable. Nubian Starskiff, 4 cost, 4/4. While you control an official, this unit gets restored 2. Decent card. We've seen that a lot of the cards this set are officials, so that's not going to be too hard to do. But will your premium deck have a ton of officials? Remains to be seen. If it is, this is an okay card. I don't see this being played seriously in premium, but it will be a very relevant card in limited. Restore 2 adds up very quickly. 4 cost, 4/4 is decent stat line. Something to keep in mind when you're playing limited. We have Naboo Security Force, 6 cost, 5/7. Command, when played, when defeated, you may disclose green. If you do, give a friendly unit Sentinel for this phase. We've already seen this effect somewhat in another card, in a green-white card. I apologize, I don't remember the name anymore, but on top of that, it had the extra effect of not needing to be a disclose, but instead you could give something Sentinel, and if it was already Sentinel, give it an experience. That barely saw any play, and so this is... I mean, you could play this in Villainy, I guess. That's the main advantage. Not a great card. Once again, it's going to be decent in limited, not usable in premium. Unveiled Might, 4 cost, +2/+3 upgrade with Plot. 2+2/+3 is not worth 4. That is for sure. Is it worth 3? Even that's pushing it. As 2, it would be somewhat playable, but is that extra 2 cost on it worth the Plot? Remains to be seen. I don't think so. I think this is extremely slow, and I'm not going to reiterate the process of buffing a Sentinel leader. Could be interesting with Plot, but I don't think this is good enough to see any serious play. Budget Scheming, give an experience token to each of up to 3 official units. If you are playing somewhat of a spy token deck or a ton of officials, this is an obvious card. Giving +3/+3 for 2 is good. But I think it's a bit too slow. We already have other cards that do something similar, and for example, General Taggy does it to troopers instead of officials, and even that is often enough too slow to play in a trooper deck. So I think this might be a bit too slow to play seriously. Charge with Corruption, another one of the law cards. You may disclose double green. If you do, a friendly unit captures an enemy non-leader unit. No conditions. This is one of the strongest capture cards we've ever seen. You can capture whatever you want that's not a leader with whatever you want. The only condition being you need to have 2 green cards in your hand or a single double green card in your hand. This will likely see play. If anything, this was a fantastic sideboard card against any upgrade heavy decks. I think in general, this is a decent card. With Thunderous Applause, a 3-cost plan, give a unit +2/+2. You may disclose. If you do, give another unit +2/+2. We've already seen similar effects in something like Attack Pattern Delta, which is just a little bit stronger, but double green. While this is not double green, it asks you to have another green in your hand. Very slow effect, very easy to counter. Just don't bother. Next up, we have the only red card we've seen so far. Very sad. Red's my favorite color in this game. Chopper, we've seen a long time ago. 2 costs for 1. When this unit deals combat damage to a base, each player discards the card from their hand. The saddest part about this card is that it is a legendary. So if you do want to play this, good luck finding all 3 right away. And even then, do you want to be playing a 2 cost for 1? You need to not only play it, you need it to survive, and then you need to be able to attack a base. And even when you do that, you yourself discard a card. I think this is one of the worst legendaries they've ever printed, unfortunately, especially in a meta where a lot of the decks have easy access to ping or 1 damage. Not going to see much play. Going into Cunning here, we have Furtive Handmaiden, 1 cost, yellow-white. We've seen this already. 1 cost, 2/2. On attack, you may discard a card from your hand if you do draw a card. Hand filtering is fantastic. It's great. Works amazing with the new Padmé leader. I don't see why not. We've already seen 1 cost 2/2 see quite a bit of play. This is going to be no different, especially if your deck cares about drawing or discarding cards. Bail Organa, our next 2 cost 2/4. Great stats. On attack, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, create a spy token. Trading a card for a 0/2 in play, not ideal. If we get some cards that do something when they are discarded, kind of like Kylo's TIE Silencer, this could be a strong effect, but I think in general, trading one of your few cards in hand for a spy token is likely not worth it. There's already not enough card draw in the game if you're playing Heroism Yellow, so I think it's a card that will see a fair amount of play simply because it is a 2 cost 2/4, it has the official tag, but unlikely to use the on attack very often. Next up, Bravo Squadron Fighter, 2 cost 2/3 in space with Saboteur. Very basic. We've already had a card similar to this. Good enough card. I highly doubt it'll see much play in premium. It might have actually some uses in decks like Kazuda or other fast space aggro decks, but just in general, I think this is mostly going to be a limited card. Anakin Skywalker, Secret Husband, another card we've seen, 3 cost 3/4, hidden. While you control Padmé Amidala, this gains rate 2. A Grand Inquisitor on the aggression villainy side is seeing a lot of play right now, and this is essentially the same thing, but a bit stronger, assuming you're playing Padmé. So I think this is one of those cards that if you are playing Padmé, auto-include. If you're not, don't bother. 3 cost 3/4, Force Jedi Republic are cards that we've already seen quite a bit of. We have Ahsoka Tano with the same stat line. We have Ezra Bridger with the same stat line. So frankly, I think if you're gonna play Padmé, you play this. If not, don't bother. Hunter, we finally get our other Hunter card. This time it's not a leader, but unfortunately it's arguably just as disappointing. 6 cost, 7/6. Why did they do this to poor Hunter? He is a Saboteur, and on attack, if the defender is exhausted, it gets -4, -0 for this attack. If you have a 7/6 in play, it is extremely unlikely that you want to be hitting an exhausted unit. You're likely going to hit the base to go for game. Saboteur does help with that. And if you are going to hit a unit, ideally you're going to hit something that's ready so it doesn't attack you. So I think this card is unfortunately pretty garbage. Just due to its sheer stat line, it'll be interesting and decent and limited. But outside of that, not a great card. Next up, we have Sneaking Suspicion, another plot card, 2 cost +1/+1, similar to Plot Armor. I think it is decent enough to be played if your leader absolutely needs an extra stat line buff. You don't need to be putting this on your leader, and that extra +1/+1 could be a little bit more versatile than +0/+3, especially considering you can stack these. So in the miraculous chance that you're playing a somewhat of a extremely leader focused deck, if you want, you can have 2 of these and 2 plot armors and play them all at once on your same leader and give it a +2/+8. Could be interesting, I suppose, but that means you're dedicating a lot of deck slots to playing cards that outside of plot are not great. So like, what happens if when you draw this when your leader's already been deployed? You don't want that. I don't think it'll see much serious play. Next up, we have Bogged Down in Procedure, another law. Exhaust a unit, you may disclose Cunning. If you do, exhaust another unit. 3 cost to exhaust 2 cards is decent enough. We already have Outmaneuver that is able to exhaust multiple things at once, but it only hits a single arena. This lets you hit 2 units across different arenas if you absolutely need to. It is revealing a card in your hand, which is interesting. With Padmé, you can exhaust 2 things and then deal damage to a third one. I think it is a decent enough card. Will it see any serious play remains to be seen. Yellow has kind of shifted away from stall exhausting and more into like an aggro version of a color. But if we do get to see that slower stalling, exhausting mid-range Cunning decks, this could actually have some decent play. Political Bully, 3 cost, 2/3, just villainy. When played, if you control another official, you may deal 2 damage to a ground unit. That's very specific. It'll be very, very strong in limited. Borderline unplayable garbage in premium. When has become now 1 cost, play a card with plot from your resources, put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. Enough said. If you've already deployed your leader and you still have plot cards, if you're playing a plot deck, I don't see why you wouldn't play this. It essentially just means play whatever plot you want from your resources. So it becomes a very versatile card, assuming plot themselves is worth playing. You are paying an extra 1 to play that card than you normally would, but sometimes for the versatility, that's worth it. So this card's playability will depend entirely on the strength of plot cards. With what we have seen so far, I don't think it was worth it, but if we do get good, much better plot cards, this is auto include. On the heroism side, I've B2 Emo, Blemo, whatever you want to call them. 1 cost, 0/4, restore 1. On attack, you may disclose double heroism if you do give a unit sentinel for this phase. It's a card. No, you'd have to pay me to play this. Moral Authority. Attached to a friendly unique unit. When played, attached unit captures an enemy non-leader unit with less remaining HP than it. Which is interesting because it gives attack instead of toughness. So I guess this is kind of like an inverse Legal Authority. Legal Authority didn't see much play when it was 2 cost. So this being 3 cost and having the inverse effect, I highly doubt we'll see any play. It is a rare card, unfortunately. Sure, I think it might be very interesting in limited. It essentially reads 3 cost, capture whatever you want with your leader. But outside of that, I think it's not a good enough card. And the last one is the Spy Token. So honestly, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching for this quick overview of what we saw today. I am extremely excited for Secrets of Power. I cannot wait to see the new cards, and reveal season is finally starting next week. So every day we're going to be seeing a bunch of new cards. It's the most exciting period of the game, if you ask me. So I hope you guys are just as hyped for this set as I am. And on that note, if you really like this content, please consider giving it a like, a subscribe. It helps me out very much. Thank you, and I will see you guys next time.